A trip to the country on
May 15th.
We'll be looking at 3 law enforcement agencies in the Grand Valley. 3 departments that are different in size and scope, but similar in their mission.
We got the car left. We're looking for this.
The Grand Junction Police Department is the largest local police force on the Western Slope. The department has 110 employees. There are 72 patrol and investigating officers. At peak hours, especially on Friday and Saturday nights, as many as 20 patrol cars are on the streets. The average is 7 to 9 cars on patrol. Grand Junction's resident population of 33,000 swells to over 70,000 during the business day and peak hours of activity. Chief Darrell Sloan doesn't like to use the officers to 1,000 citizens ratio, so often used to measure a force's relative size.
So we have a pretty good-sized department, and I think we're, at this point, pretty adequately staffed.
The Sheriff's Department, on the other hand, is responsible for patrolling 3,300 square miles of Mesa County, 2/3 of the county's population. The Sheriff's Department's officer-to-citizen ratio is less than 0.6 deputies per 1,000 people. The national average is about 2 officers per 1,000 citizens, and Colorado County's average 1 to 1.5 per 1,000.
It's a constant challenge to handle the calls for service and the problems that we deal with the number of personnel that we have.
The Fruita Police Department has 7 officers, including 1 sergeant and Chief Chris Monson. They cover a population of around 4,500.
Generally speaking, we have 1 officer in uniform per shift. When I'm not working administration, then I'm in uniform. And on high activity hours and times, which is generally Friday through Monday nights, we have a relief shift officer that's working overlapping shift to assist the other officers on duty.
The rest of this week, we'll take a look at the training officers go through in each of the 3 forces, especially firearms training.
Shooter on the line. 3 steps forward. 3 rounds. Fire!
Tomorrow we'll see what it takes to become an officer in Grand Junction, Mesa County, Fruita, and the rest of Colorado. Kim, Todd? Be hired as an officer at the Grand Junction PD, the Mesa County Sheriff's Office, or the Fruita Police Department. He or she would have to exceed Colorado's minimum requirements for certification as an officer.
When we have an opening, we have hundreds of applications for it.
We have hired officers who have come from academies that just gotten out of their academy training, but by and large, a majority of the officers have at least 2 or 3 years of experience.
So we generally have 50 or 60 applicants apply for 1 or 2 positions.
New recruits do not hit the streets solo right away.
The in-house training, the skills training, takes approximately 3 weeks. We devote 40 hours for each skill. Again, arrest control, driving, and firearms.
The state also requires post-certified officers to have 40 hours of in-service training per year. At least 3 times a year, the Grand Junction PD trains for combat shooting at its firing range. Moving targets are set up to simulate situations in which officers need to make quick decisions to shoot or not fire their weapon.
In the courses, there are several targets that they need to engage. Some are friendly, some are hostile, and the officer's forced to make a very quick decision whether to engage that target, in other words, to shoot at that target or not shoot at it. It's probably the most stressful training that the police officers get out here, especially when you incorporate those shoot-don't shoot. They're very stressful courses.
Fruita has its own firing range and supplements its in-service training with videotapes from the Law Enforcement Television Network.
Good! Shooter ready. Stand by.
Well, tomorrow we'll take a look at shoot-don't shoot training. I tried out my trigger finger on a couple shooting scenarios. We'll see how I did. Kim? Hi.
All right, Jim, with News West.
An instructional aid used in shoot-don't shoot training for law officers, and I got to play along. The Mesa County Sheriff's Department uses an instructional film for shoot-don't shoot training. It presents a number of scenarios that an officer might face. The camera is the point of view of you, an armed policeman, as you stand in front of a life-size screen.
Now, prepare yourself.
yourself to react to what you're about to see.
I tried a couple of the scenarios, and the action of the film seems to move much faster as you stand with a gun aimed at the screen. This time I fired as soon as I saw the suspect, but most likely hit the store clerk instead. Of course, that was the lesson to be taught here. Most law enforcement departments in the Grand Valley also use a sophisticated computer system called the Firearms Training Simulator, FATS, or FATS. It's available to local agencies once or twice a year.
Allows an officer or a trainee to interact with the video, and it presents different situations, shoot, don't shoot types of situations.
Each scenario has a whole bunch of different changes that it can make, and it'll change to your reaction.
After he actually fires at the screen, the computer will score the number of hits that he had, how long it took him to react, whether he made the proper decision or not.
It's unique in that it can tell you a lot more about how good you were in that situation or how well you did.
Well, you didn't have a lot of luck in that first scenario. Did you do a little bit better on some of the others?
On some of the others, but you know, it's amazing how holding the gun there in front of a movie screen makes it seem pretty real. So, you know, I really wouldn't want to be in any of the positions that the officers get put in on a daily basis.
I can tell you why I'm in news and not in law enforcement.
Right.
And tomorrow you will have part 3.
Part 4.
Thanks for making CBS America's most watched network. Now, your local news.
For a transcript of this program, send $6.
Problem of violent criminals.
Jim Petty joins us now for part 4 of Behind the Badge.
Thanks. Tonight, some Grand Valley citizens get to experience some of the split-second decisions faced by law enforcement officers. The Sheriff's Department offers a Citizens Police Academy, a series of seminars in which residents are introduced to the many aspects of law enforcement. They cover the legal boundaries that law officers must work within. And last week, they used the Shoot, Don't Shoot demo film I used in yesterday's segment.
To make those immediate snap decisions and to experience it firsthand with a .357 in your hand, it's a whole different world. It creates a pressure that I don't think you can really even describe.
Your adrenaline was going and you were presented with different scenarios, and you had to really think about whether you were going to shoot or not shoot, and lots of times it was just, you know, not having the training. It was a natural reaction to want to fire back when somebody was firing at you. So it really gave you an idea of what they have to go through to actually use and go through the logical steps that they're supposed to do before they use deadly force. Mine was dealing with a person shooting from a moving motorcycle, and it was on a street where there was a lot of people, vehicles going by. Well, my decision was to shoot at him. I did miss the first car, and I waited till a car went by, but as we analyzed it afterwards, I realized that there was really too many people around, so really the best situation would have been, the ideal situation would have been not to have shot.
And in another instance, we were called to a child abuse situation of my partner and I, and right out there in the middle of kids in the driveway and right in front of the house, a guy pulled a gun right out of his pants and started shooting at me. And I let one fly right when there were some kids in the vicinity, and, you know, I shouldn't have done that. Even though I was being shot at, there was one situation where I should have held my fire, and it's not an easy decision at all.
Tomorrow we'll ride along with 3 officers on patrol in the Grand Valley. Kim, Todd?
Thanks a lot, Jim. When News West 5 continues,
New Actifed Allergy.
Daytime.
Nighttime. 2 maximum strength formulas in one total relief system.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Todd Greco.
And I'm Kim Kramer. A high-speed collision in South Clifton has claimed at least 1 life.
Details are sketchy at this point, but a pickup and a sedan collided at the intersection of 31. She was 14 years old when she was abducted in 1983 while jogging in Idaho Springs.
Jim Petty has the final segment now of his series, Behind the Badge.
Thanks, Kim. Tonight we ride along with 3 officers that provided many of the stories from this week's series as they patrol the Grand Valley.
I've been with this department for a little over 3 years. I went to the Ames Community College Regional Police Academy in Greeley. I do have an associate's degree in criminal justice from Mesa State College. I've received most of my training while I've been here with this department.
I got hired in the jail in May of 1986, and I worked in there till August of 1986. And then I came out onto the street, and I worked as a patrol deputy. And then in 1991, I got promoted to sergeant. All total, just a little bit over 7 years.
I'm a patrol sergeant, Grand Junction Police Department. I work swing shift, which is 3 to 11 p.m. I've been with the Grand Junction Police Department for 20 years now.
There's more and more disturbances where people get out guns, they threaten people with guns, and when law enforcement gets on scene, those people still have weapons, and those situations are situations that can easily turn, into a shooting that where an officer has to defend himself.
The most unusual call that I've ever had as far as end in here in the city was the bank robbery that we had about a year ago. To my knowledge, before that, it hadn't ever happened. So what happens?
I want to thank the 3 law enforcement operations that provided all their services to me over this week, and I think we can all rest assured that we do have outstanding law enforcement agencies throughout the Grand Valley. Kim, Todd?
Thanks a lot, Jim. When News West 5 continues, we'll have today's state legislature action.
We will return to Joe Kidd on TBS.
No bullet could kill him. No army could capture him. From TNT comes a new motion picture, Geronimo, the legend as never before told. Premieres Sunday, December 5th on TNT.
Come on in, see what's new. Sears has got the softest hardware for you. We've got jumpers and cables in cotton and knit. Denim seat covers with a real comfy fit. New mixers and blenders, some toasters in wool. Our appliances will make you so beautiful. Things sure are changing round here. Come see the softer side of Sears.
You'll taste 7 kinds of fruit in Hawaiian Punch. 7 kinds of fruit in Hawaiian Punch.
Look what's new. Double C Hawaiian Punch. Vitamin C plus calcium. As much calcium as half a serving of milk. So when it comes to nutrition, we're leaps and bounds above ordinary fruit drinks.
Hey, how about a nice Hawaiian Punch?
Sure.
New Double C Hawaiian Punch. Packs a healthier punch.
For that one-of-a-kind fruit taste.
No little cinnamon gum freshens breath longer than Big Red.
So kiss a little longer, hug a little longer, stay close a little longer with Big Red. That Big Red freshness lasts right through it. Your fresh breath goes on and on. While you chew and say goodbye a little longer, make it last a little longer. Give your breath long-lasting freshness with Big Red.
Cancel that road trip, postpone that hair appointment, and put down that cow. Get ready for 14 straight hours of non-stop bugs. The TBS Bugs-a-thon, the day after Thanksgiving, beginning at 6 a.m. Eastern. Part of the great international tune-in. Next on TBS, 21 Hours of Eastwood continues with the action classic Dirty Harry. Then at 8:05 Eastern, Clint hunts down the gang who tried to kill him, hang him high. All coming up here on TBS.
Now, the forces of nature can move the hands of time with Seiko Kinetic Quartz, Seiko's unique motion-powered generator. It's precision quartz timekeeping technology that doesn't need a battery, doesn't need winding, just the natural force of nature produced by the everyday movement of you. Seiko Kinetic Quartz.
A mountain bike. That
takes a lot of juice. Sunsweet prune.
Harlan?